Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina pays tribute to Father of the Nation and places wreath at his mausoleum in Tungipara. $155 more appeal filed to redeem candidacy for 12th National Parliament election on the third day today. BNP getting increasingly desperate to foil the election as the polling comes closer, says Ubaidul Qadir. BNP is country's first King's Party and the opportunist intellectuals are unmasked now, says Dr. Hassan Mahmood. UN Secretary General repeats his call for a humanitarian ceasefire in Gaza as Israeli attacks intensify, raising Palestinian death toll to over 17,000. And second day's play of Bangladesh-New Zealand's second test match abandoned due to rain. Assalamu alaikum, this is Tulika Molika Das welcoming you all to the news at 10. You have just heard the headlines, now on to the details.
তোমরা জানো তোমাদের আমি ভালোবাসি আর আমিও জানি তোমরা আমাকে ভালোবাসো। তোমাদের কাছে আমার একটা অনুরোধ রইল, যেদিন তোমরা যদি সন্দেহ করো যে আমার ভালোবাসার মধ্যে কোনো কৃপণতা আছে, সেদিন আমি বলে দিও আমি চিরদিন তোমাকে বিদায় নিয়ে যাব। আমি সব ত্যাগ করতে পারি, তোমাদের ভালোবাসা আমি ত্যাগ করতে পারি না।
Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina paid rich tributes and offered prayers at the mausoleum of Father of the Nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, in Tungipara this afternoon. She paid homage by placing a wreath at Bangabandhu's grave and joined a prayer seeking eternal peace of the departed souls of Bangabandhu and other martyrs of August 15th, 1975 carnage. After laying the wreath, she stood in solemn silence for some time as a show of profound respect to the memory of the architect of independent Bangladesh. Family members and Awami League leaders were present. Sheikh Hasina, also president of the Awami League, on a personal trip reached her ancestral home at Tungipara in Gopalganj by road after crossing the Podda Bridge this afternoon. After spending tonight at her Tungipara residence, she is scheduled to leave for Dhaka tomorrow. Newly appointed High Commissioners of Pakistan and Sri Lanka and Ambassador of Egypt and Vatican to Bangladesh presented their credentials to President Muhammad Shahabuddin at Bangabhavan this morning. On arrival at Bangabhavan, the new envoys were given guard of honor by a contingent of President Guard Regiment. High Commissioner of Pakistan Syed Ahmed Maruf, Ambassador of Egypt Omar Mohi Eldin Ahmed Fahmi, Apostolic Nuncio of Vatican Kevin Randall and High Commissioner of Sri Lanka Dharmapala Virak Kori presented their credentials to the President. Welcoming the new envoys of Pakistan, Egypt, Vatican and Sri Lanka, President Muhammad Shahabuddin said Bangladesh attaches importance to its relation with all countries of the world. Highlighting the progress of Bangladesh in various sectors including communication, infrastructure development, women's empowerment and ICT, the President said Bangladesh is now a role model for development and women's empowerment. He said the people's active cooperation, dynamic leadership of Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina and the cooperation of friendly countries have contributed positively to these development. President Mohammad Shahabuddin expressed hope that the new envoys will try hard to increase bilateral cooperation with Bangladesh on various issues including trade and investment. During the meeting, new envoys of Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Egypt and Vatican City lauded socio-economic development of Bangladesh. The envoys also said that they would work for strengthening relations of their respective countries with Bangladesh during their assignment. The new envoys sought President's all-out cooperation in discharging their duties. President's Office Secretary Shampod Borua, Military Secretary Major General S.M. Salahuddin Islam, Press Secretary Muhammad Join al-Abidin, Secretary Attached Muhammad Wahidul Islam Khan and High Official of Foreign Ministry were present. Meanwhile, the newly appointed envoys of Egypt, Pakistan, Sri Lanka and Vatican City paid tribute to Father of the Nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman at Dhanmondi, Road number 32 in the capital today. The envoys placed floral wreaths at the portrait of Bangabandhu separately at the premises of Bangabandhu Memorial Museum. The newly appointed envoys to Bangladesh are Ambassador of Egypt Omar Mohi Eldin Ahmed Fahmi, High Commissioner of Pakistan Syed Ahmed Maruf, High Commissioner of Sri Lanka Dharmapala Virakori and Apostolic Nuncio of the Vatican Kevin Randall. After placing wreaths, they took a tour of the museum. The envoys also signed the visitors' book. Earlier officials of the museum welcomed the envoys at Bangabandhu Memorial Museum. "155 candidates whose nomination papers had been rejected for the 12th parliamentary election have filed appeals today, the third day of lodging appeals to the Election Commission. The appeal petitions were received at the 10 area-based temporary booths set up in the Election Commission premises at capital's Agargaon. Secretary of the Election Commission, Muhammad Jahangir Alam, briefed the reporters in the afternoon. He said a total of 338 such appeals have been received in 3 days so far. The Election Commission will receive appeals until December 9 and will conduct hearings and disposal of those between December 10 and 15. Awami League General Secretary and Road Transport and Bridges Minister Obaidul Qadir said the more the election is approaching, the more the BNP is getting desperate to foil it. So BNP might intensify sabotages. He said these at a briefing at Awami League President's political office at Dhanmondi in the capital today. Obaidul Qadir said the issue of seat sharing did not come at the meeting between the Awami League and the Jatiyo Party. Basically, the meeting held discussions on political issues to tackle anti-election evil activities, he added.
আজকে যে ভয়াবহ চিত্র সেটা নতুন নতুন রেকর্ড স্থাপন। গতকাল পর্যন্ত প্রায় 600 যানবাহন পুরানো হয়, 10টি জেলে আগুন দেয়। এরা যখন মুরগির বাচ্চাকে টার্গেট তখন এদের যুদ্ধ হামলার কাজে আরো বিস্তৃত হতে পারে, আরো ভয়াবহ দিতে পারে। নির্বাচন যতই ঘনিয়ে আসছে, নির্বাচন বানচালের জন্য এরা ততই মরিয়া হবে। আমরা জাতীয় পার্টির সঙ্গে আলোচনা করেছি, সেটার মূল বিষয়টাই ছিল যে নির্বাচনটাকে অবাধ, শান্তিপূর্ণ এবং সুষ্ঠু করার জন্য তারা যারা নির্বাচন তাদের নিয়ে আমরা সমন্বিতভাবে, ঐক্যবদ্ধভাবে যুদ্ধ হত্যা, নাশকতা, যুদ্ধ হামলা না এইসব আজকে নির্বাচন বিরোধী অপকর মধ্যে আমাদের ঐক্যবদ্ধভাবে আমরা প্রতিহত করব ভোটারদের নিয়ে। এটাই আসলে আমাদের আলাপ আলোচনার মূল বিষয়।
Regarding the new conditions imposed by a U.S. buyer company in the apparel sector, the Road Transport and Bridges Minister said the U.S. will not be able to do anything one-sided.
এখন বাংলাদেশের ব্যাপারে অনেকগুলো বিবৃতি বিভিন্ন সময় দেওয়ার কথা আছে, কিন্তু ইউরোপীয় ইউনিয়নের সব দেশ এ ব্যাপারে যুক্তরাষ্ট্রের সাথে বাংলাদেশ বিরূপ বক্তব্য দেওয়া বা খুব চরম পন্থা যাওয়া এ নিয়ে বিবিধ আছে। ইউরোপীয় ইউনিয়ন এবং যুক্তরাষ্ট্রের মধ্যে আছে, সেখানে বিদেশে আমরাও তো বন্ধু নিই, আমাদেরও বন্ধু আছে এবং আমরা আমাদের বন্ধুরাও আজকে এইসব বাংলাদেশের সব খোঁজখবর তারাও রাখে এবং তারাও জানে এটার কি অবস্থার মধ্যে সাংবিধানিক ধারাবাহিকতা রক্ষার জন্য প্রধানমন্ত্রী শেখ হাসিনা এই নির্বাচন করে নির্বাচনের হাঁটছে দেশটা যাতে বিশৃঙ্খলা আবর্তে ডুবে না যায়। আর যুক্তরাষ্ট্র ইচ্ছে করলে সরকারি আমাদের উপরে একতরফা কোনো সিদ্ধান্ত দিতে পারে, কারণ যুক্তরাষ্ট্রের যে বন্ধুরা আছে এই এশিয়া প্রশান্ত মহাসাগরীয় এলাকা, যুক্তরাষ্ট্রের যে বন্ধুরা আছে সে বন্ধুরা কিন্তু বাংলাদেশের ব্যাপারে চরম কোন সিদ্ধান্ত নেওয়ার পক্ষপাতী এখন।
Awami League Presidium member Jahangir Kabir Nanak, Joint General Secretaries Mahbub ul Alam Hanif and AFM Bahauddin Nasim among the central leaders were present at the press briefing. Information and Broadcasting Minister and Awami League Joint General Secretary Dr. Hassan Mahmood said the civil society has unmasked itself by staying silent against arson violence. He said these while briefing journalists on contemporary issues at the Secretariat today.
মানুষের মধ্যে ভয়ভীতি সঞ্চার করার যে অপচেষ্টা বিএনপি প্রতিদিন চালাচ্ছে, মানুষ কিন্তু ভয় পাচ্ছে না। মানুষ তাদের এই অপতৎপরতাকে বৃদ্ধাঙ্গুলি দেখিয়ে জীবনযাত্রাকে স্বাভাবিক রেখেছে। কিন্তু এইভাবে প্রতিদিন গাড়ি ঘোড়া পোড়ানো বিএনপি নামক দুষ্কৃতিকারীরা যেটি করছে, আমি মনে করি এটি তখনই বন্ধ হবে যখন সারা দেশের মানুষ আওয়াজ তুলবে তাদের বিরুদ্ধে, এবং সেই আওয়াজটা সচেতন নাগরিক, সাংবাদিক সমাজ এবং নাগরিক সমাজ তাদের পক্ষ থেকে আসা প্রয়োজন। দুঃখজনক হলেও সত্য, আমি নাগরিক সমাজের একটি বিবৃতিও দেখি নাই এই অগ্নিসন্ত্রাসের বিরুদ্ধে, কারণ নাগরিক সমাজ সময়ে সময়ে মাঝে মধ্যে যে সমস্ত কথাবার্তা বলে সেগুলো আমরা গুরুত্ব সহকারে দেখি, কিন্তু আজকে দেশ জুড়ে এক মাসের বেশি সময় ধরে যে এই অগ্নিসন্ত্রাস পরিচালনা করা হচ্ছে, অনেক মানুষ এই অগ্নিসন্ত্রাসের বলি হয়েছে, আগুনে ঝলসে গেছে, নাগরিক সমাজের কোনো বিবৃতি নাই, নাগরিক সমাজের কোনো বক্তব্য নাই। এটি খুবই দুঃখজনক। আমি মনে করি যে সমস্ত নাগরিক সমাজ বা বুদ্ধিজীবী বলে যারা সমাজে পরিচিত, যারা সময়ে সময়ে বিবৃতি দেয় আর এখন নিশ্চুপ থাকে, তাদেরকে চিহ্নিত করা প্রয়োজন। এরা সুবিধাবাদী এবং এদের মুখোশ উন্মোচিত হয়েছে। আমি সাংবাদিকদের অনুরোধ জানাবো এদেরকে চিনে রাখার জন্য।
Dr. Hassan Mahmood responded to queries from journalists on BNP's politics, saying BNP is the first king's party of the country.
সারা দেশে একেবারে কেন্দ্র থেকে শুরু করে উপজেলা পর্যায় পর্যন্ত বিএনপির নেতারা বিএনপি থেকে পালিয়ে যাচ্ছে। আমার প্রশ্ন হচ্ছে বিএনপি নেতাদের কাছে যে এই দলটা কেন করেন, যেই দল আপনাদেরকে ইউনিয়ন পরিষদের চেয়ারম্যানের নির্বাচনও করতে দেয় না। আজকে কম্বলের তলা থেকে সবাই পালিয়ে যাচ্ছে, পরবর্তীতে রিজভী সাহেবরা দেখবেন যে ওনারা কয়েকজন ছাড়া আর কেউ নাই, ছোট হয়ে আসছে পৃথিবী। কারণ বিএনপির এই অপরাজনীতির সাথে বিএনপির নেতারাই একমত নয়। ইয়েস স্যার, ইয়েস স্যার, হ্যাঁ স্যার, জি স্যার, ইয়েস স্যার। রিজভী সাহেবের মতো কিছু লোক আছে, তারাই তারেক রহমানের নির্দেশনা মেনে তারা এই অগ্নি সন্ত্রাসের আহ্বান জানাচ্ছে। এই অপরাজনীতি থেকে বের হয়ে আসা প্রয়োজন। বাংলাদেশের তো প্রথম কিংস পার্টি হচ্ছে বিএনপি, কারণ জিয়াউর রহমান সরকার দখল করে সরকার গঠন করেছিল, তারপর সরকারের উচ্ছিষ্ট বিলিয়েছিল, ক্ষমতার উচ্ছিষ্ট বিলিয়েছিল এবং সেই উচ্ছিষ্ট বিলিয়ে দল গঠন করেছিল। বাংলাদেশের প্রথম কিংস পার্টি হচ্ছে বিএনপি।
Indian High Commissioner in Dhaka, Pranay Verma, today said his country will stand by Bangladesh as in the past to build a stable, democratic and developed country. Pranay Verma made the remark while addressing a seminar titled Long Way to Go with the Spirit of the Friendship held at the Military Museum in the capital. Bangladesh India History Heritage Council arranged the seminar. Bangladesh Bank former Governor Atiur Rahman presided over the function while military analyst retired Major General Abdul Rashid, freedom fighter Professor Dr. Amzad Hussain and General Secretary of Bangladesh India History Heritage Council Ashraful Islam, among others, spoke at the seminar. Showing respect to the martyrs of the two countries in the Liberation War, speakers at the seminar said, organizing Friendship Day is a reflection of permanent friendship among the people of Bangladesh and India. They also hoped that this relationship would reach a new height in the future. Metro train commuters will be able to use the Dhaka University and Bijay Sharani stations from December 13th, as the two stations will be ready by the time for operation. Managing Director of Dhaka Mass Transit Company Limited, DMTCL, MAN Siddiq, said this at a press briefing in the capital today. He said the duration of metro services on the Agargaon-Motichil route will remain same. MAN Siddiq said with the opening of Dhaka University and Bijay Sharani stations, commuters will be able to use a total of 5 stations on Agargaon-Motichil section. Moving on to the international news. Palestinians across Gaza face relentless Israeli bombardment as the war in Gaza enters its 3rd month. Israel intensified attacks in the south, including in Rafah. The city experienced heavy shelling overnight despite Israeli orders for people from central Gaza and Khan Yunis to evacuate to the city for safety. About 25% of Khan Yunis in southern Gaza is under evacuation orders, the UN says. At least 16,248 Palestinians have been killed in Gaza since October 7. UN Security Council members consider a draft ceasefire resolution after the UN Secretary General urged them to act by invoking Article 99. Antonio Guterres made an urgent appeal for a ceasefire to be declared in Gaza. He called for the Security Council to help avert a humanitarian catastrophe and stressed that the situation was deteriorating rapidly. EU Foreign Policy Chief Josep Borrell urges EU members of the UN Security Council to support a ceasefire resolution. Russian President Vladimir Putin and Saudi Arabian Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman hold bilateral talks with their delegations in the Saudi capital, Riyadh. Vladimir Putin said nothing can prevent the development of Moscow and Riyadh's friendly relations as he makes a rare trip abroad seeking to bolster Russia's influence in the Middle East. Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman said cooperation between the two countries had a positive impact in many issues in the Middle East. Prince Mohammed and Putin discussed working together to achieve stability in the Middle East, as well as highlighting their successful cooperation in energy, trade and investment. Putin also invited Prince Mohammed to visit Russia. Earlier, after meeting the Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan in Abu Dhabi, Putin thanked the ruler for the UAE stance, saying this had allowed relations between the two countries to reach an unprecedentedly high level. Russia's upper house of parliament today set March 17, 2024 as the date for the next presidential election. In a meeting televised live, the senators unanimously approved the date in a decision that practically kicks off the presidential campaign, according to the head of the chamber, Valentina Matvenko. Republican senators in the United States have blocked $106 billion in new funding for Ukraine and Israel, rejecting appeals from President Joe Biden amid anger over the exclusion of immigration reforms they had demanded as part of the package. Biden had earlier warned of dire consequences for Kyiv and a gift to Russia's Vladimir Putin if Congress failed to pass the measure, which includes about $61 billion to help Ukraine keep up pressure on Russia during the freezing winter months, as well as help for Israel and Gaza. The entire 49-strong Republican minority in the upper chamber voted against the proposal, pointing to a lack of government action on the estimated 10,000 migrants crossing from Mexico into the U.S. every day. 3 people have been killed in a shooting at the Las Vegas campus of the University of Nevada on Wednesday morning. Officers struck and killed the suspect, who remains unnamed, in a shootout. One other victim remains in a critical condition at a local hospital, police said in a statement. Law enforcement sources described the gunman as a white former college professor in his 60s. The university police chief said 2 campus officers engaged the suspect in a shootout before being struck and killed. Now, some other international news in brief. European leaders met with their Chinese counterparts in Beijing today amid divisions between the bloc and its largest economic partner over everything from trade to the war against Ukraine. Britain's ruling Conservative Party was in disarray after its immigration minister quit over legislation regarding sending migrants to Rwanda as hardliners turned the screw on Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. US presidential hopefuls locked horns for the 4th debate in the 2024 Republican primary, with the race narrowing to a head-to-head battle to be the main alternative to runaway front-runner Donald Trump. The United States has determined that warring factions in Sudan have committed war crimes, Secretary of State Antony Blinken has said, as Washington increases pressure on the army and paramilitary rapid support forces to end fighting that has caused a humanitarian crisis. Indonesian authorities on Thursday said they had ended a search and rescue mission for any hikers missing or killed after a volcano eruption over the weekend that left 23 people dead. Dengue patients died in the country during last 24 hours. A press release of the Directorate General of Health Services said among the dead, 1 was in Dhaka and 1 was outside Dhaka. 537 dengue patients were admitted to different hospitals across the country during the last 24 hours. Among them, 108 were in Dhaka and 429 were admitted to different hospitals outside Dhaka. Now, news on weather. Cyclone Michong has gradually weakened into a depression and then a low pressure and has become insignificant. Light rains continue intermittently throughout the day in different parts of the country, including the capital, as the normal low pressure of the season is located in the South Bay. Today, the highest rainfall of the country was recorded at 96 mm in Jashore and 44 mm in the capital. Meanwhile, Met Office in its weather forecast till 6 p.m. tomorrow said light to moderate rain or thunder showers is likely to occur at most places over Rangpur, Rajshahi, Mymensingh, Dhaka, Khulna, Borishal, Chattogram and Sylhet divisions. Night temperature may fall by 1 to 2 degrees Celsius and day temperature may rise by 1 to 2 degrees Celsius over the country, said the Met Office. Now, news on sports. The second day of the second test between Bangladesh and New Zealand has been abandoned due to rain. The game was scheduled to start 15 minutes before the scheduled time today. However, it was not possible to play a ball due to rain. The second day's play was officially called off at 1:54 p.m. New Zealand scored 55 runs for 5 wickets against Bangladesh's 172 runs in the first innings yesterday. The Kiwis trailed by 170 runs. The Tigers led the series by 1-0. To end the bulletin, headlines once again. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina pays tribute to Father of the Nation and places wreath at his mausoleum in Tungipara. $154 more appeal filed to redeem candidacy for 12th National Parliament election on the third day today. BNP getting increasingly desperate to foil the election as the polling comes closer, says Obaidul Qadir. BNP is country's first King's Party and the opportunist intellectuals are unmasked now, says Dr. Hassan Mahmood. UN Secretary General repeats his call for a humanitarian ceasefire in Gaza as the Israeli attacks intensify, raising Palestinian death toll to over 17,000. And second day's play of Bangladesh-New Zealand's second test match abandoned due to rain. That's all from the newsroom for the moment. Thank you for staying with us. We invite you to watch our next Bangla News Bulletin at 11:30. Keep your homestead clean and stay safe from dengue. Khuda Hafiz.